Alright, so today we're going to be talking about how to approach a research paper. It might seem a little scary, but we're going to be okay. So the first step is always thinking about what you're going to research. In a class like this one, where you can pretty much pick anything along the lines of environmental science, sometimes it's a little daunting. So, always think back. What have you learned in class so far? What was super interesting to you? Anything back home or in your hometown that sparked your interest? Really think about, could be even your favorite lecture so far. We cover a lot of things in 100 classes, so, always think about what you've talked about. Has anything caught your attention? Something crazy that you read? Or you can even think of and Google top crazy things happening with the environment. You can get a lot of interesting stuff that way. So one thing that you do once you kind of pick your topic, and you can, there is another webinar on how to choose your topic, is create this hourglass figure. I will be posting the actual sheet that you can fill out on ESRM.zone, so you can actually fill this out while we are going over it in this webinar. So the hourglass figure, it allows you to take the complex material that you're reading in your literature and also create basically kind of an outline for your paper. And it puts it in this cohesive pattern that you wouldn't necessarily always be able to figure out on your own, especially when looking at lots of different scientific literature. So one thing it does do is that it helps you collect your research, put it all in a cohesive form, and then you can start your first draft. So what we're going to do right now is we're going to go through one. So the topic that I chose is declining bee populations, and so basically for the context, that's just what you're looking at. Think about what's the issue going on that you're interested in, and that would be the context of your paper. So the need, so underneath the need, you're going to think about why do we need to look at this? Why do we need to study declining bee populations? And for this example, I said that, the bees pollinate the majority of our agriculture. So we kind of need a healthy population in order to continue with our agricultural production for our growing population. So the next thing you're going to do is the stats and facts, which is basically looking at all of the information that you've gathered in your research and thinking about all the statistics, all the results of studies that you've read. How is that talking or discussing the need? How are you answering the question of focusing on the declining bee populations? So when you think of it that way, we could think of specifically in California, how are declining bee populations being affected in our agriculture here in California? How is that impacting our state's economy? How is it impacting, the health of the agriculture that we have? What is it specifically that we're looking into? And in addition, you could also look at, a specific agricultural food or product. You can look at something that specifically bees pollinate that we need, and you can do it throughout the entire United States or in California. You just have to pick exactly what you want to do. Once you have gathered all your stats and statistics, your facts, all the fun stuff, you need to start talking about why those stats and facts are important and how they're answering your question. So think back. So declining bee populations is your focus. So your results section is going to be basically saying how your stats and facts are talking and discussing your context. So for ours, or for the one that I made, humans rely heavily on bee populations to house stable agricultural production. And so, basically I'm using my stats and facts from the section above to explain that we do rely on those populations. And then to finish it off, you really think about, what happens if we continue with this decline of bees? What are the implications for that? What are the implications to the larger audience? And thinking about, how will declining bee populations impact California? How will it impact the United States? How could it impact globally? You need to think about, you've done all this crazy research and you've shown all these facts, but you need to think about why should a random person on the street care about declining bee populations? We care because we're scientists, but why should other people care around the world? And then, if you really can find something, propose a solution. A lot of times, with science, we sit back and we judge, and we say all these bad things, but then a lot of times, there isn't a solution proposed. So in this paper, we are suggesting that you propose a solution to help answer these questions and, put us in a perspective that we can address them in the future. So once you have your hourglass figure, it's time to start writing. You can either actually create an outline, you can start writing and start researching. So there's another webinar on how to deconstruct scientific literature, which will help you fill out your hourglass. Also, you can just start writing on your first draft. It's better to start writing and get it down and then go back and edit it. So if you have any more questions, please consult another webinar.